I'll leave the screen to you, Alison. If anyone does have any questions for Alison throughout, feel free to use the Q&A tab, and I'll come back on after Alison's talk and we can address any of them. But for the time being, ladies and gents, Alison Edgar MBE.
Thank you so much. So I have got the Q&A open, so feel free to put any questions in there. A little bit about the backstory, because I think when people think, oh, Alison Edgar MBE, that I've always been in business and, you know, I was sort of destined for this kind of stuff. Well, I wasn't. I was talking to Kelly earlier in one of the rooms, and I'm from Clydebank originally. I was brought up in a high-rise council flat. My mum was a cleaner, my dad worked on the shipyards. So for me, I just was brought up by my parents to believe that anything was possible. And it was all about putting in your A game and doing your best every day. Because as it turned out, I struggled at school because I'm dyslexic. I didn't even know what dyslexia was until I was in my 30s. But I then moved in to work in hospitality. I concentrated on my strengths. And I think that's one of the things lots of people forget to do. They look at the things they're not great at. And yes, it's brilliant to improve those, but just by focusing on the things that you are really good at will help you to be stronger, motivated, and more positive. So to cut a long story short, after hospitality, I moved into sales, and I love sales, right? And everybody in this room is in business, aren't they? So if you don't sell, you don't have a business. But what happens is a lot of people are scared of sales. They have that fear of rejection, and they tend to hide behind their marketing, because sales is where you have to come face to face with people, ask for orders, and actually move the business forward. So I worked for big organizations like BT, Yale, Dow Egberts. And what I discovered during that time was actually, when it's delivered correctly, sales and customer service is exactly the same thing. The other thing, you can only sell something that you fully believe in. And when I worked in the company that I worked in, the pace of change for me wasn't the way that I wanted the change to move forward. I would have loved print to move into digital faster, but it left me with a dilemma. What was I going to do? And at that point, I decided I was going to set up a sales training company to teach people to sell the way that I do. So that was my first step into entrepreneurship. And at that time, some of you may remember things like growth vouchers, growth accelerator. There was a lot of government support to help people to be able to improve their sales. But in 2015, the government pulled the funding. And again, like all of us in this room, we're either running our own businesses or we're working in small businesses. And it's like, when these things come, what do you do? And that's when I decided to write Secrets of Successful Sales, which was the first book. And again, for probably 48 years, I told myself that I couldn't write. And there'll be people in this room watching who think, I can't do something, I can't do this, I can't do that. But it is just your brain that is telling you, because if I had focused on not being able to write, I wouldn't have written Secrets of Successful Sales. And the reason that I wrote it was the people who need my help most are the startups and the micro businesses who predominantly don't have much money. So it was that focus on the days where it was really tough and I didn't want to write a book and I didn't want to continue doing it, that I had to focus on them. So through the last 12 to 18 months, there has been a lot of times where we've all thought, I can't do this, I can't carry on, but it's that focus on why you do it that gets you up in the morning. So as Brad said, the actual book, it just kind of went a little bit mad. It was a W.H. Smith top 10 business book. It was voted by The Independent as one of the top business books written by a woman. So during that period of time, I also was working with some really entrepreneurial people. So Alana Spencer, that won The Apprentice, some of the Dragon's Den winners, entrepreneurs who took their business from zero to £1 million businesses. And even in the service industry, it was all going really well. And this is where that focus on how I could help people keeps you going. And I think that's the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. But one of the strange things that happened, because you think, like, the clue's in the name, Secrets of Successful Sales. So you really read that if you're in business or you're in sales. You know, you're not really, I wasn't expecting anybody else to read that, but I got this great feedback. Like I was getting direct messages all the time from people who had read the book, and they were saying, oh, do you know what, Alison? I bought a house and I managed to negotiate extra turf or save loads of money. You know what, Alison? I'm getting on a lot better with my daughter now. You know what, Alison? I've got much more time in my day. And it was all this feedback of people who were reading it and they were using it for all the wrong things. So the idea then came, well, hang on, using that word sales that people are not fond of, how can I teach more people? How can I help more people? And during lockdown, I decided this is what I was going to do. And here I got a copy of the book. So I wrote this one, Smash It, The Art of Getting What You Want. So it launches on the 1st of June. And there's a couple of things. I want to give you some top tips from the book that you can implement straight away. So the first thing was a statistic that really shattered my thinking. And in 2018, a magazine called Inc. magazine did the survey, and only 8% of people actually hit their goals. That is shocking. So not on my watch. If I can do anything to switch that around, that was my plan. So first of all, loads of people don't set goals. Weird. It's a bit like a business plan. Lots of people don't have business plans, but without that direction, without that knowing where you're going to go, you're really going to struggle to get there. So that's my top tip. You know, really make it specific as well. You know, from a business perspective, we all know SMART, specific, measurable, attainable. And again, this is one of the things that even when people do set a goal, they're wishy-washy. Happiness, freedom, money, you're not going to get those because they're not specific enough. So that's my top tip. If you haven't got some goals, set them. And how do you set them? Well, I look at happiness as a general. So if people say happiness, well, where are you spending your time? And I think that time is one of the things that's most precious. So to get balance, one of the things I talk about is where you deposit your time. So I talk about 3 banks: the bank of cash, because that's your work stuff; the bank of give back, so give back to yourself or giving back to other people; and the bank of faffing around, because I think it's really important that, you know, you deposit in those banks. So how do you deposit in those banks? It's actually knowing where your time goes. So if you have a look, the top tip is know where your time goes. Look at the bank of work and the bank of cash. I don't know how many of you run an empty inbox policy, but for me, we've got an empty inbox policy so that we can focus on the things that are really important. So again, we talk about basketballs, tennis balls, and ping pong balls. How do you fit those in? So we use Trello to do that rather than the Eisenhower matrix. A lot of people use the Eisenhower matrix, but use what are you doing with your time? Because when you focus on what you do with your time, actually, you've got time to hit your goals. So again, I can see that I think we're finishing in about 1 minute. I'm looking at the time here. So working on your matrix of how you spend your time will give you time to allow you to be able to smash it, because time is something that people use as an excuse. The other thing with that is why. You know, I've told you during my story, you know, doing things that I thought I couldn't do, it's knowing why you do it. So my why was to help me to be able to help other people. Another part of the journey that other people might think when you close your eyes and think, what are my goals? Looking at your bank of give back, what does that mean to you? A lot of people spend a lot of time giving to other people, but they forget to give to themselves. And that's where things can become quite overwhelming. So I've got a question, I'll take that one now. It says, do you think you should have a why associated to each goal? Yes, you definitely need a why. Let me give you an example of why that is. So again, for me, health-wise, during this period, again, I've written a book about smashing it. I've gone from couch to 5K, couch to 10K, couch to half marathon, and climbed Mount Snowdon. But the focus to put on the trainers was health. So again, if my goal was cash related, that doesn't feed. So every single goal needs a why. Speaking of time, do you think a time of shorter working days than the European countries have been trialled? So I think that time is the key thing. Like, we are really slick with our time. Like, we can finish early most days because we're on top of it. And I think, again, there's two reasons I think people work late. Is one, a lot of time, if you're an employee, you feel that you have to be seen to be working late. And I don't think, that's not anything I think is a good thing in a company culture. And two, I think that people work on and have to do it because they're just not organised. So again, having that empty inbox policy really helps you to be on top of things. So what I would say for us, if that is you and you think, oh, my inbox overwhelms me, that word overwhelm is huge. Make sure you've got your folder set up, and then say you have, like, for example, let's say preparation for this. Obviously, 2 months ago, this would have been a ping pong ball. The week before is a tennis ball. And then today, this morning, or yesterday, it's a basketball. And the reason is people actually do things in the wrong order, because human nature tells you to do the things you like first and put off the other things. And then, if you've ever had a basketball in the face, you will know how sore that actually is. So I think it's really, if you've got clarity, if you clear your time out and you've got clarity, it can really help you to get what you want, to smash it. I think the other thing as well is pushing the boundaries a little bit further. I was in a room this morning on Clubhouse and they were talking about limiting beliefs. I think, again, sometimes we pitch too small, really, don't we? And I think, for me, one of the things, I've developed an app. So I don't know any other books that have got an app to accompany the tasks. And it was scary, but why did I develop that app? Again, why did I do it? Because we're not going to carry, it's quite a chunky book. There's 71,000 words in there. But if you're out walking down, down in South Sea or whatever it is, and you think, I know what I'm going to do. I really want to take up running, or I really want to take up rollerblading because I loved it when I was a kid. Just taking a photo and putting it in your app is more likely to achieve it. And again, that's the why. How do you handle distractions from the phone, social media, WhatsApp? Do you proactively leave phone in another room? No, Lisa, I don't, but I manage my calendar really tightly. So like things like, I do Clubhouse every morning. I do the Breakfast for Winners show between 6:30 and 9, and then that's it for the day. Social media, I have got a team that run a lot of the social media for me. And then what I do is I will put my time calendar based. I'll also leave space in the diary for me time. So like in the evenings, I'll be, if Neil, again, I talk about relationships in the new book as well. And, I had a bit of imposter syndrome. What makes me qualified to talk about relationships? Well, two things. I'm a DISC practitioner, so I talk a lot about understanding behaviours and relationships. But I've actually been with Mr. Edgar, and I've got a great relationship, and we've been together for the last 30 years. So if you look at the statistics from the people that got married in the year that I got married, only 23% of them are still together. So, I believe that everything we do is a process and behaviours, which is what I teach, really. Clear goals with clear purpose, give clear focus, which creates a workload that's prioritised, which means getting the right things done instead of faffing around. I talk about the bank of faffing around, Ash, and I look at that as the bank of fun. And, coming back to my time, it's really important that for me, I do faff around, but in a really good way. One of the things, I went to London, again, a lot of my clients are London based, and just spending quality time enjoying myself feeds my thoughts. And again, music, I was talking to Kelly earlier. So even when you wake up in the morning, like I wake up with a song that really puts me in the mindset, because I bounce out of bed like a puppy dog. So like one of my favorites is Take That. today, this could be the greatest day of your life. And if I start like that, again, it's the circle, isn't it? If I start going, this could be the greatest day of my life, I feel dead excited. And honestly, great things happen. And then my behavior is really positive. People want to be around me. And then I know that today could be the greatest day of my life. Whereas if you wake up and go, oh, another day in hell, here we go again, you know, you're actually feeding that right through your life, and that has the knock-on effect. So for me, it's really important, especially leading a team, that I've got to come in there every day with that first day mindset. Top tips for accountability. My top tip is actually accountable every single day. You know, we start the day, what we're going to achieve, who's going to achieve it, and how we're going to achieve it. And I do it in my own way as well. So like the app today, touch wood, will go live on the App Store. So the app is called Smash It. It's a free app. So if you are looking to do it, I've put in my little bio, I've got smashitbook.com. It's got the wait list on there for the app. It's got the links that you can buy the book or pre-order, because it's really interesting. Again, I'll hold it up again. Smash It, the art of getting what you want. So getting what you want is really important. So we launched it about a week ago, 2 weeks ago on Amazon, right? And I'll take a drum roll, because it's already had the orange flag as an Amazon bestseller 5 weeks out of launch. And people are emailing me because they've pre-ordered the book and Amazon are running out of stock. So they're having to wait from between the 7th and the 15th of June to get their copy. So if you do want a copy, and Amazon tell you that, WH Smiths have got it on their website, so have Waterstones. But I think it's really important to be accountable, not just to yourself, but to other people. And I think the other part of the book is, you know, there's two things. There's the me thing. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to, you know, take up running, if you want to stop smoking, that's not, no one else is involved in that. That's a you thing. That's part of the me thing. But if you want to save money on your house, if you want to, you know, build a stronger relationship with your partner, then that's a we thing. So I've specifically set the book into two parts, the me thing and the we thing, because not all your goals are just about you. Other parts of your goals include other people, you know, things like getting a job, or things like, you know, hiring staff. You know, there's loads of stuff that involve other people. So hopefully, I think I've got 1 minute left. I think I have to be off at 10 minutes past 11 or I'll get kicked off. Is that right, Brad?
That's fine. I was just going to come on to maybe pick out a couple of questions, but it's great that you've been doing it as you've gone along. And I really like some of those analogies in there, the ping pong ball, the tennis ball, the basketball. And I think also the policy that you have around email. I think we live in a world where our attention is so much on email. And I'm currently reading a book called Deep Work by a guy called Cal Newport, who I'd recommend people to check up, because he's all about avoiding those distractions and putting the time aside to focus on deep work and proper work. And the emails just drag our distractions and our attention unnecessarily. And it's just playing almost ping pong with each other just to pass the buck. So yeah,
all the time. And I think my team are not allowed to have their emails on their phone. I mean, I am, because it's obviously my business and I've got to be available, but they don't have to be. And they know that if I do text them or I send them a DM and say, I really need your help, that I'm not crying wolf, I really need their help. So again, I think that the switch off time is really important.
And lastly, Alison, how big is your team? Just for context, how many?
So I've got 3. So it's, again, we're quite tight, but again, it's interesting when it comes to scaling as well, Brad, because I went down the path of having other employees that would deliver the training and all that kind of stuff, but everybody wanted me. And that became, how do you scale a business when you are, you know, the commodity? And that's where I've become the commodity, that I am the diamond. And, you know, that's where, like, looking at pricing and things, if you become the commodity, then you can price accordingly for that as well. And that's how we scale. So everybody supports me back a house, and I just be the diamond and write the books and do the media and the delivery. I'm
sure that's a problem a lot of the business owners in the room can appreciate. Trying to replicate yourself is one of the hardest things. But Alison, we are out of time, but really appreciate you joining us this morning. It's I really love your energy. I love your outlook on development and your general approach. So appreciate that, and hopefully people have felt inspired by that and just got some energy from you as well. So thanks very much, Alison.
I'm staying in the rooms. I love the tool. I'm here to learn.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Alison.